All right, guys, welcome back to another video. We are going to be reacting to a video by another content creator named Jose, and the title of the video is The Sharp Fall of Ben Shapiro. But before we do that, I need some favors. One, like the video. Two, hype the video. That would be really cool. And three, the most important, if you like what we do on this channel and you enjoy my content and you like hearing me talk or whatever it is, feel free to follow my second channel, More Echoes. I definitely want to consistently post both on this channel and the More Echoes channel as well. So yeah, definitely go over there and subscribe, follow it. And I do want to give one very important shout out. I don't know what's been going on, but this year has just been great for the main channel. Like, I don't know what it is, but people with big followings are finding my videos and seeing it. Case in point, shout out to Lauren Chen, who just recently followed me. Now, when I first saw this, I'm like, I'm not too familiar with this person, but then I clicked on her profile and holy cow, she has 600,000 followers on Twitter. I was like, whoa, that's amazing. This is like the third person this year who has like this ginormous following, who has followed me on Twitter. Unfortunately for me, I don't post on any other platform but Twitter. Oh, I'm sorry, but YouTube. I am a YouTuber through and through. Everything that I got to say, I'd say it on YouTube. I don't really post on Twitter. I don't really post on Instagram or really anywhere. I really just make YouTube videos and go back to my regular daily life, you know. But yeah, shout out to Lauren Chen for following me. I assume she found me through YouTube. I just have to assume that. I don't know how else somebody with 600,000 followers would even know who I am. But if you found me through YouTube, I really appreciate that. That's dope. And thanks for the follow. And of course, I followed back because, like, yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this video. This is probably going to be a long one because this guy's video is 30 something minutes and I watched most of it already, and he actually said quite a lot that I did not agree with, but that's okay. He also said a lot that I do agree with, so we're gonna do a little bit of skipping around because you guys know me. I don't like to make 30-minute videos. This is not my thing. We keep it about 8 to 12 minutes on this channel, and then we keep it moving. That's kind of how we do it here. So I'll try to make a somewhat quick reaction to a 30-minute video, and let's go ahead and get right into it.
Going great for Ben Shapiro. The former darling of right-wing media has been under a lot of fire from his right flank, and his once enviable position now seems very precarious. Only 8 years ago, things were dramatically different as Ben Shapiro was making his ascent. Back on November 13th, 2017, an article in the New York Times described conservative commentator Ben Shapiro as the cool kid's philosopher. The article is a relatively gentle profile of Shapiro, describing him as a conservative firebrand who holds extreme views, who is finding a young audience online. There's a part of this article that has an odd echo in the present. It reads, Mr. Shapiro is trying to define conservatism at a time when its meaning is up for grabs, and the Republican Party and traditional
Okay, so for those who don't know, Ben Shapiro was like the guy like 8 years ago. I am not joking. He was even before Candace Owens. Like, this all started when I was in college. When I was in college, keep in mind, guys, I went to college from 2014 to 2018, right? When I was in college, okay, Ben Shapiro, I do remember Charlie Kirk. I do remember Turning Point USA. But the biggest guy during that time, like the guy, was Ben Shapiro. A lot of young people, believe it or not, at that time were flocking to him, and I'm going to tell you why. During 2016, with the rise of Trump and all that other stuff and the rise of populism, what you saw a group of people who were conservatives who felt like we were losing the country. Like that's really what people felt during that time. Like, we're losing America. America's not the same. We're losing those American values that people believe in and want to continue to uphold. And you have people like Ben Shapiro. And I remember the first video I ever saw by Ben Shapiro that went mega viral. It was a video where he went on a college campus. You guys might remember it. And he debated this young college woman about like trans and like LGBT rights and just stuff like that. And they were mostly debating about the trans. And the girl basically said, you know, if I want to identify as a man, what's wrong with it? Like stuff like that. And then Ben Shapiro was like, well, if I call you a moose, are you all of a sudden a moose? If I call you a cat, are you all of a sudden a cat? Like, it was kind of that whole thing. And that just went super mega ultra viral. And when I was in college during that time, that was very, very popular among college students. So that was kind of the rise of Ben Shapiro at that time. It's very actually sad to see how far he's fallen now compared to who he was when he first started. Also, I don't know if we're going to get to this part, so I want to speak on this as well. This guy, Jose, also points out something extremely important, that when Trump first came on the scene, Ben Shapiro, like many other conservatives, was actually against Trump, which is true. J.D. Vance used to be against Trump. Ben Shapiro used to be against Trump. A lot of other people on the conservative side used to be against Trump. Once they saw that the pendulum was swinging in Trump's favor and the people were supporting Trump, they flipped. They originally did not like Trump, and then they flipped and became Trump supporters. Ben Shapiro is one of those people. I don't know if we'll get to that part of the video, but I did want to make sure I highlighted and pointed that out, because you have a lot of people on the Republican side. And Marjorie Taylor Greene actually just recently did an interview talking about this, how a lot of these Republicans do not like Trump and are not fans of his, but they be quiet. They pretend to be on his side because right now he has the people. And that just goes to show you how fake this whole thing is when it comes to politics as well as media. Both people in politics and media can be very fake, which is why I am very careful with who I associate with, because I just know that this whole thing, like most of life, especially when you get to this level, can be pretty fake. Let's keep going.
Conservative media outlets like Fox are built for older audiences. This is even truer now, but the next sentence in the article is even more interesting. Shapiro does not like President Trump, and he disagrees with his old boss at Breitbart News, Stephen K. Bannon, that Trumpism is the future of the Republican Party. Obviously, Ben Shapiro has changed his tune long since then, and that's part of how Shapiro has succeeded, a combination of being morally lucky within the context of conservative politics and willing to sit at the altar of Trump, cashing in on the rightward shift represented by Trump and knowing when to fall in line when he saw where that push towards the right was actually coming from. Not people like him, but the constituency more aligned with Donald Trump. This nimble movement helped him ascend the space to be one of the most popular voices in online conservative media in the early 2020s. But his metrics have been way down in 2025. In fact, I suspect further down than the publicly available data suggests. The reasons are many, and ironically, much of it is Shapiro's own making. I want to look through some of that history and explore just how someone can go from being one of the big dogs in the conservative movement to one of its favorite whipping boys. For those somehow unfamiliar with Shapiro's backstory, the very fast version was that he was a young conservative who got a taste of the limelight in conservative commentary before the age of 20. He tried to break into the world of Hollywood and failed.
I've written a couple comedies kind of...
Oh, that's also another important thing to talk about. Ben Shapiro and that Jeremy Boring guy with the Daily Wire are literally Hollywood rejects. Like, they tried so desperately to get into Hollywood and become actors and screenwriters and producers and make movies, and they failed. They completely failed. The Jeremy Boring guy, who used to be the CEO of Daily Wire, who co-founded it with Ben Shapiro, they both tried to get in Hollywood pretty much at the same time. They both failed. But they still were able to become successful, and they basically turned their success into the Daily Wire, and they used the money that they made to still try and live out their dreams of being film directors and screenwriters, and they started making their own movies. Now, it's up to you guys to determine if any of their movies were actually any good, but that's pretty much what happened. So let's keep going.
Hour-long dramedies for, spec script.
And have they been bought?
No.
He helped launch the Daily Wire, a conservative media company that had massive success in its earlier years, although its fortunes have turned as of late. I made a whole video about that if you're curious to learn more. As the Daily Wire weakens as a company, largely as a result of bad business decisions costing them tens of millions of dollars and losing key talent, driving down viewership, being
so glad he said that too, because we've hammered that so much on this channel. The Daily Wire literally like self-imploded. Like, they destroyed themselves. They just made a bunch of really dumb business decisions, and they allowed key talent to walk. They really did. That is exactly what happened. And I don't think they ever thought that people would wake up and see them for who they really are and turn on them. But that's pretty much what you're seeing. A lot of people have turned on the Daily Wire because of certain business decisions that they made. And what happened as time went on? The people who are not dumb, they try to make it seem like us average everyday people are dumb, but we're not. We knew what was happening before it happened. We knew that the Daily Wire was going downhill. And what did they end up doing? The CEO of the Daily Wire, who was behind a lot of the business decisions that made the Daily Wire go downhill, Jeremy Boring, ended up stepping down. I wonder why that happened. Because of this thing called pressure. You can only go so long of doing a crappy job before there starts to become pressure, and the company decides to go in a different direction, which is exactly what happened with Jeremy Boring.
So closely tied to that company has damaged Shapiro's reputation as well. Even though he isn't the CEO who has been driving some of those bad decisions, this company is still very much associated with him as a talent. Where Shapiro stands on a lot of issues hasn't changed much over the years. Going back to that 2017 New York Times article again, his positions are described like this. His views are extremely conservative. Transgenderism is a mental illness, as per the Encyclopedia of Mental Disorders before 2013. Yes, blacks have been historically discriminated against. No, institutions are not broadly discriminated against them today. The rich pay too much tax. Abortion should be illegal. Social Security ought to be privatized and Obamacare repealed. This is something I just want to mention off the top that, while Shapiro is currently losing ground to people more extremely right-wing than he is, back in 2017 he was already considered pretty far-right too. That should tell you a lot about the state of modern conservatism right now, at least in the media space. One key issue is that Shapiro has been a steadfast supporter.
I don't know if I agree with that one. See, that's where I kind of get to some of the stuff in this video. You got to ask the question, who considered him far right back in 2017? Because I've never seen Ben Shapiro as a far right person. I think anybody who says that hasn't really watched his content, which back in the day during 2017, 2016, I actually used to watch a pretty good amount of his content. I don't think he was ever, I think he was a conservative. Seriously, I just think he was a conservative. And at that time, a lot of the things that he said is what I would brand as common freaking sense, which you guys know just as well as I do that we've lost a lot of that in today's society, and it is really annoying. And this is what I call it. I call it clown world. When people say things that just lack complete common sense, I say, okay, we're just living in clown world. And I'm not going to get into too many examples because I don't want to get canceled. That's why I don't even talk about that stuff on here. But just know I'm right there with you. Just know I got common sense. I know what time it is. But yeah, I wouldn't consider him far right at all. Just because you say things that are obviously true doesn't make you far right. I hate that way of branding. I actually don't like labels. I don't like when people say, you know, you're a conservative, you're a liberal, you're this. The reason why I don't like those labels is because I think the truth is really what matters. And instead of giving people a label or even somebody wanting a label, like, oh yeah, I'm a proud liberal, I'm a proud conservative, I think it's better to just say, I'm a proud American, I am a proud truth teller, and I want what's best for the country and the American people. And that's how I feel. That's why I say you can't really put me in a box. And I think that's how most people should live their lives. When you put people in these labels, these are just ways to attack people, in my opinion, because when somebody gets a label, people automatically make assumptions about you that may not be true. You see what I'm saying? If somebody says I'm a conservative or I'm a liberal or I'm a libertarian, people automatically make assumptions about you. And that's what I don't like. How about I'm just me? How about that?
Of Israel, making him vulnerable to criticism as he continues to run cover for the obvious genocide happening in Gaza, a sentiment that became more popular in mainstream media throughout 2025. In addition to that, there are several prominent right-wing creators, specifically Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens, who very much hold a grudge against Ben Shapiro. As Shapiro's view numbers sharply dropped through 2025, he was motivated to respond to the growing alternative in conservative media, one that was growing increasingly hostile towards him. A video from October 30th titled Woke Politics.
All right, so overall, I think this was actually a pretty good video, even though there's some things that I don't agree with. I still think this is a very good video, but I don't want my video to be too long. So, yeah, I'm going to pretty much cut it here. Just wanted to talk a little bit about Ben Shapiro. Obviously, you guys know how I feel. I've made it very clear. He deserves everything that he's getting, and it's only going to get worse, and the Daily Wire is eventually going to fail. But what I will do is I will put the link to this video in the description, and if you want to watch the full thing in its entirety, you are free to do that. Just click the description, the link that I will put in the description to this video, and yeah, that's pretty much all you got. So as always, like the video, hype the video, and I gotta say this again because you know it's my channel. Why not plug myself? Go ahead and subscribe to the second channel. That'd be very much appreciated. And yeah, that's today's video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.